Turning the page to what has happened during the following 2 weeks. UNICEF says 1,524 children have been killed in the Gaza Strip during these bombings. Why isn't the US calling for at least a temporary ceasefire?
So I will just summarize what he says because he doesn't answer the question. So Antony Blinken basically says in a very long way, my heart aches for every single person who dies, every single child, mentions Palestinians and Israelis, of course. And then, Margaret, to her credit, I believe this is Margaret, Margaret Brennan, yeah, really hammers it. Is like, okay, but why not a ceasefire? What are we doing? Why not a ceasefire? And the answer is not unlike the one that we read from the Israeli military itself. So take a look.
Israel has to do everything it can to make sure this doesn't happen again. Freezing things in place where they are now would allow Hamas to remain where it is and to repeat what it's done sometime in the future.
So freezing things right now at 1,500 children dead, at 5,000 civilians in total dead, that would allow Hamas to continue. So I guess the question is, how many more children need to die? How many more civilians need to die? But again, that is why the United States isn't calling for a ceasefire, because they're basically saying this military operation isn't over. And the real question is, well, what is the end goal? And I don't think that even Antony Blinken understands what that end goal is. I do think it's important to know that there have been reports that the Biden administration is asking Israel to delay its ground invasion, and yet at the same time, there are also reports that General Lloyd Austin is actively consulting with the Israeli military about said ground invasion, which is massive for the United States to effectively be giving assistance and support, tactical support to Israel about the invasion of, a city basically full of civilians, and at this point, any stragglers who are left. But Margaret Brennan, she kept on going. She tried a different tack with him, and she asks once again, basically, like, what are you doing here? What is the end goal? Take a look.
One of my colleagues who is on the ground in Israel and has traveled to the West Bank conducted an interview with Mr. Mustafa Barghouti, a Palestinian politician, I'm sure you know. He said he doesn't understand why President Biden, when he was in Israel, did not say enough is enough. You wanted to respond and you responded. You killed 4,000 Palestinians. Stop. Instead, you're encouraging a ground invasion. How do you respond to enough is enough?
Enough is enough should have been the case with Hamas 2 weeks ago.
So classic whataboutism and sort of rewinding the clock as if we are not living in a moment where civilians are dying as we speak. Senator, your response to that answer?
I'm telling you, Francesca, this is a family show, okay? So I won't speak the other language that I speak very well. This is chilling. And I want our viewers and anybody else that may see this later to understand that the Palestinian people could be us. The innocent Israelis could have been us. The United States is complicit, and the United States has blood on its hands. What is happening in our name should freaking matter. Fill in the blank. And to straight face, because you know what, Francesca, and y'all should put Francesca and I up side by side. See, what they doing is being very clear about the lives that matter and the lives that do not matter. When he says that it should have been enough for Hamas. You can't read, Hamas is a terrorist group. So what are you saying?
Right.
That the blood that is on the hands of Hamas is now the blood on the hands of innocent Palestinians? Or even if it was vice versa. You know what, Francesca, this makes no sense. And America is going to come to regret this. Now, when he says that his heart aches. So when we say our hearts aches, see, we can't really do nothing about this on a global scale. When he says his heart aches, then show us that your heart is aching by action. Yes. And that action would be for our country, the United States of America, to say to our ally Israel, we need a ceasefire. We will help you surgically go in and get Hamas. But what we cannot tolerate is the more killing or suffering, because some people not dying right away, Francesca. I think we're forgetting that. How many days could we go without food and water? What if we were in the hospital, somebody we love in the hospital gets bombed or a mosque gets bombed? You see what I'm saying? So where is the collective humanity? The United States holds all the cards, Francesca. We hold the cards.
They do, and they're acting like they don't.
Come on.
It's disgusting. Look, we started this segment off showing you the bombing right near a hospital. There are hundreds of babies in incubators right now. They're pretty.
And Francesca, we put the especially.
Have they condemned Hamas enough?
That's it.
Right? I mean, this is the question that and we know that this is a bald-faced lie on the part of the United States.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.